The most disappointing moment on any motorcycle trip is when you realize that you're riding just to keep up with your own plan. Let me show you how to avoid that. Welcome back. Now, some of you might be thinking, Pavlin, you always talk about planning, but now you're saying that planning ruins the trip. Is that correct? And the answer is yes and no. Let me explain. A plan that is too strict with fixed dates, visas, hotels, mileage on the road and so on puts you under a lot of pressure. On the other hand, good but flexible plan actually works in your favor. What's the difference? The plan is still plan. You still have to reach places, right? True, but you can do it on your own terms. You can skip places, change directions or add new locations if necessary. That's why I call it flexible plan. Maybe it will work better if I just explain what I do step by step and why this works better than fixed solutions. Everything starts on the computer with a serious research about the place, country or continent that you plan to visit. This is a necessary step and probably the most important one because it turns your idea into a real possible motorcycle trip. Without a plan, it will stay just one idea, something that you might do one day but also might not. Then comes the moment to draw the route through Google Maps or whatever program you like to use. I usually start with Google Maps because it gives the necessary information, mileage, travel time and much more. After that, I transfer all the information to paper maps. At least for me, they give a better visibility and from there I can get a rough idea about the total distance and mileage of the whole trip. This is a very important step for me because it clarifies how much time and money I will need to execute this trip. How some people can travel without this information, I honestly don't know. Maybe they have too much money or maybe they are lying. Here comes the important moment. How strict or detailed does the plan have to be? Good question, isn't it? As I said, it has to be flexible, to have possibility to skip points, add locations or remove something while you're on the road. Of course, this is something that you learn. The more you travel, the better you understand it. Planning each next trip becomes easier than the one before. Another option will be to ask people who have already done it, or see the mistakes that you have done on your last trip and try to avoid it or minimize it on the next one. Before we continue, let me clarify something that I am asked quite often. Many people want to travel like me, but what really matters is understanding what this kind of life actually means. That's why I created my new online course, Adventure Riding Without Illusions. It's not about the gear or routes, but about the reality behind long-term motorcycle travel. If this is something that you might be interested in, you can read more via the link below. Back to the video. The key is to have a general plan that you can follow, but also to be informed about all possible alternative options. This is what gives you the flexibility that I was talking about. On the other hand, if you plan too much, every food stop, every hotel, every ticket for attraction, every mileage, every place that you plan to stop, this will be just too much. And then you will realize that you're riding just to keep up with your own plan. That's fine, you might say, this is how I want it to be. But this is a motorcycle trip, not a family vacation with booked hotels and flight tickets. Nothing is certain, nothing is promised. You have to cover many kilometers every single day. In many of these places, you won't have any idea how long it will take or what weather or road conditions are going to be. If you travel internationally, borders are another big obstacle. They can take anything from a few hours to even days to cross. Let me give you a few examples. In 2015, I was in Central Asia riding in Azerbaijan with the idea of crossing the Caspian Sea by ferry and entering Turkmenistan. So far, so good. But the ferry was unpredictable. I was told that it could take anything from a few hours to a week or more. Long story short, in our case, we boarded after only 12 hours. And this was only the first step. The second was the border in Turkmenistan. It took us another 7 hours, even though we were first in the line. I already mentioned visas earlier in this video, but let me explain. When you apply for visa, they will ask you for specific dates. when you're gonna enter the country and when you're gonna leave the country. And you have to be very precise, because otherwise this might slow you down and even stop your progress at all. When it's only one country, it is easy, but when you have multiple countries that requires visas, like my trip to Central Asia, I needed altogether 7 different visas. The plan became really complicated. So it has to be strict enough to receive these visas and be there on specific times, but also flexible enough that will give you possibility to move it a few days front or a few days back and still be on time on this specific time window to visit these countries. I understand that all of this might sound very confusing, but actually it is not that bad, because each one of these visas is going to be for at least 30 days, 1 month period. This is what they give usually for touristic visa. And in each one of these countries, you're not going to spend more than a week or maybe 2 weeks in maximum. So you can adjust it the way it works for you, based on your travel habits and your travel plan, flexible plan that you already have. And this is not that difficult, as I said, and will give you the flexibility that I was talking about. And to describe it even better, the entry and the exit dates need to be positioned very carefully, based on your rough travel time, possible delays, and many other factors. This becomes very important when you have to visit more than one country, and you cannot avoid it. You have to be strict and flexible at the same time. Let me give you another example from Turkmenistan. There is 2 possible ways to visit the country. First is with a normal tourist visa for 30 days, but then you will be required to hire a local tourist company, a guide and escort, and you will travel with them all the time, more or less like in China. The second option is to have 5 days transit visa. And you might say right now, oh, transit visa is perfectly fine, I don't want to spend more time in the country, but you have to give a specific dates. When exactly you plan to visit the country and when you're gonna leave the country. And this is not easy job when you need to travel more than 5,000 kilometers just to reach the border, because you don't know how much time it will take and what kind of obstacles you are going to have until you get there. In our situation, the most curious or the most difficult part was the ferry from Baku, Azerbaijan, to Turkmenbashi, Turkmenistan. This ferry was without any schedules, and we have no idea how long it will take to move from one side on Caspian Sea to another. You might wait a day, you might wait 10 days, and that's why we were not able to give a specific dates. And then I found another solution, that I can ask for a special invitation, and with this invitation to receive the transit visa on the border. And this is exactly how we did it. But all of this is again plan of the flexibility that I already told you. So you need a strict plan with visas, but it has to be flexible, as I already told you 3 times. I also never book hotels in advance. Of course, I use some applications like Booking to find what I need, but always in last moment. When I have, let's say, 50 or 100 kilometers to the town that I plan to sleep, then I can open my telephone and find what I need, not before that. And I always try to book accommodation without a payment in advance. So if something is not as described, or if I cannot make it, I can always cancel this reservation. And I can tell you right now that this is happening to me so many times, especially in South America, when everything is unpredictable. You see these nice pictures and beautiful hotel, and when you go there, it's a shitty hole. But when you don't pay it in advance, it's all good. You can always cancel it. And again, this is part of the flexibility. You have a plan, but it's not that strict. You're not obligated to stay on this place. You can always find something else. By the way, I cancelled my Canada trip, and this summer I plan to visit Central Asia again, 11 years later. This time I'm gonna do it with my friend and mechanic Plamen, the same guy that we were in South America, and of course I'm gonna film everything. More details about the trip you can find in the description below. Anyway, I hope that now you understand what I mean by saying strict and flexible at the same time. Because if you lock yourself with all of this booking in advance, you won't be able to move anything later. Or if you do it, it will cost you a lot. And the final experience can end up very different from what you expected. That's why fixed plans ruins motorcycle adventures. I would like to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please press like or dislike whatever the video deserves. If you subscribe, even better. See you in the next one. Ciao.